Okay, Ronnie, hello.
Hello, how are you, Gary?
Good. So tell us about, so this is Gary from US Computer Connection.
And Ronnie Kaplan from Computer Training Solutions. I work with individuals and corporate groups to make them more proficient with Microsoft Office products.
Great. Well, let's get started. What do we have today?
Okay, we're going to work with Excel today and with one of the, I think, lesser known features or type of formulas, which is an array formula. And we're all of us who use Excel are used to saying, okay, I'm going to multiply the number sold by the unit price and find out the total in a cell, and then I'm going to fill that down, autofill, so I have all of my different items totaled out. And that works, nothing wrong with it, but there are other ways to do the same thing, and one of those ways is what we call an array formula. An array formula can be in a single cell, or it can be a multi-cell array formula. And rather than try to explain it, I think the best way is to show you. So here we have a very simple spreadsheet with car sales, and it has which type of car, how many sold, unit price, and we're going to get into discount at a certain point. So certainly what you would normally do if you want to get the total sales is you would say, okay, I'm going to equal the number sold times the unit price, and I'm going to get an answer, and then I'm going to autofill that, and so I have all of these. And then down here on the status bar, I can see that the total, the sum of all of the total sales is 1,590,000. Okay, so I'm just pointing that out because we're going to get to it a different way. So now, instead of creating one formula and copying it down, and of course here we only have about 10 rows, so it's not a big deal, but imagine you might have had 10,000 rows, we can select the entire range or array where we would like to have the formula sitting. And in that array, we're going to type the formula, and we're going to say equal and select all of the numbers sold, and then we're going to do times all of the unit prices. Now, here's where the real difference comes in. When you complete an array formula, you don't just hit enter, you have to hit Control, Shift, and enter. So some people call this a CSE formula for Control, Shift, Enter. So I'm literally holding Control, Shift, and then pressing Enter. And notice what happened. I now have the same exact formula in all of these cells. And if I select all of them, it comes out to exactly the same sum, 1,590,000, as we got when we did it the old-fashioned way with individual formula. Notice that in the formula bar, we have the formula and it has braces around it. And that's what happens when you do the Control, Shift, Enter. It puts those braces in. But you cannot simply type the braces. You must use that Control, Shift, Enter key combination in order for the program to realize that you are creating an array formula. Okay, so you're basically doing one formula instead of doing 10 or 100 or 1,000 and so forth. Now, if I wanted to do that sum up of all of the different total sales for all the different cars, I could also do it in a single cell. Okay, so I am going to do this in this cell down here, equal sum, open paren, just like I would normally. But then I'm going to say, okay, take all of the numbers sold and multiply it by all of the unit prices. And of course, in order to make this an array formula, first I have to close this parentheses, but then I'm going to do my Control, Shift, and Enter. And here is the 1,590,000 here. Now this formula, this sum, does not depend on any of these cells. So I could literally delete them all and still get this, because this was done as a single cell formula. I'm going to undo that because I want to show you something about those array formulas. This is multi-cell formulas. And that is that one of the protections that this provides using these array formulas is that if I wanted to delete one of these, it won't let me because you can't change part of an array. you'd have to change the whole thing. If I wanted to say for one particular one that I wanted to change this, instead of D11, I wanted to make it D10 or whatever, and I tried to enter that, it's not going to let me because I can't change part of an array. Okay, I could change the entire array if I wanted to by selecting the whole thing and then making a modification, and then I would have to use Control-Shift-Enter to let it know that this was an entire array. So that's a little bit about a simplistic look at the array formulas, and I'm going to do a couple that are a little bit more sophisticated. Okay, so let's figure out a discount, a total discount, based on the discount amount for each of these units and how many of them were sold. So of course we could figure out an individual discount and then auto-fill it. That would be the standard way to do that, but we're not going to do it that way. So I'm going to say equal, whoops, see, I forgot one of the most important things that I'm making an array formula, so I have to select the entire array. And then I'm going to do equal, and I'm going to select the unit prices. I need to put parentheses. Well, first I'm going to say multiply the price by the discount. All right, and then I'm going to put parentheses around that because we have to tell the program which item we want it to do first. And then I'm going to go up in my formula bar, and I'm going to say to multiply that by the number of each sold. Okay, and then I'm going to close that parentheses, right? And then I have to close the one that I have to open the one that I just closed. So that should do it. And now in order to make that formula into an array formula, we have to do Control, Shift, and Enter. And here we have for each of these cars, we have the discount, the total discount based on the discount percentage, what the sales price was, and how many of those we sold. So we've done that, which is pretty cool, I think. Another little bit more tricky thing that we can do here, just to show you that it can be done a lot, and I've got the formulas down here so you can see them clearly, is what if we wanted to know the sum of all of the ones that were sedans where the total price, the unit price, was greater than 30,000. And so let's do a formula for that. So we're going to say equal sum, and we're going to say the different car types, all the different cars, where that is equal to, and I have to put this in quote marks because it's text, equals sedan, and then I'm going to close that. And then I'm going to say multiply that by the unit price, whoops, just the unit price, where it's greater than or equal to 30,000. And we're going to put that in parentheses so the program knows what item it's doing first. Okay, and then we're going to multiply that by the total sales, because that's what we wanted to find out. And we're going to put that in parentheses. And then we're going to put the entire expression in a set of parentheses. And then we're going to do Control Shift Enter. And here we have, let me put this in a format that we can read more easily. Whoops, whoops. Okay, so 363,000. All right, so if we looked at the sedans where the price is greater than 30,000, we have this one and we have this one. And then if we total that by the total sales, this one and this one, we would get the same amount. So it's just figuring out in one formula what would have taken multiple formulas to do. So that's the idea of the array formulas. Both this was a single cell, and some of them we did as multiple cell. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of more examples so that you will hopefully have a little better idea of this. So here's another very simple spreadsheet with different reps and how much they sold and at what rate, and we're talking about commissions, and the quotas are already there. So I am going to select, we want to figure out their commission, so I'm going to select the commission, and then I'm going to enter a formula that says equal the sales times the rate. Okay, and we just have to put the expression in parentheses, as we usually do. And then we're going to do Control-Shift-Enter, and here is the commission for each one. And this is a multi-cell array formula, and so it's the same expression, the same formula in each one, but obviously the results are different because it's using the appropriate cells to the left to figure them out. Okay, if we wanted to do it as a total in a single cell, we can do sales times rate. Now I want to point out something here. If we look in the name box, you can see that I have already set up range names for all of these different fields, for reps, for sales, and so forth. So we can use those expressions as well to do that. Okay. So if we go to this total commission cell here, and we say equal sum, and I can say equal sum of sales, okay, times rate, and put that in parentheses. I should be able to do Control-Shift-Enter and get the, again, let me just put it so we can read this a little easier here, 24.55. And that should equal the same thing as the total commissions. Here it is, 24.955. Same thing. So this is a single cell, and again, it's not dependent on these as individual formulas. It's a separate array formula that was done in a single cell. So let's talk about why you would want to do this. What are the advantages of this? So one thing is the consistency, that you look at this and it's all the same formula. And of course, if you have large ranges, we don't have large ones here, but we want to be able to see what we're doing. But as we have done here, you can easily name the ranges and then simply create a formula like this saying, give me a sum of sales times rate. And you would not have to go and select all of those cells, assuming you had a very large set of several thousand. You wouldn't have to do that. So the consistency can give you accuracy. Again, there's a safety measure in not being able to overwrite something. So if I try to delete a particular cell or modify a particular cell in an array, it won't let me do that. I'd have to stop and think what I really want to do. I really want to change that as part of an array. I have to recreate the formula so it excludes it or whatever. So that's one thing. You can create a much smaller file size because you're not creating 1,000 formulas. You're creating one formula, right? It's an efficient way to build a formula. So here on the screen at the bottom, you see here's an array formula as an example, which would be the same as this formula, which is, and this is just taking a few cells. So you can see that you're saving a lot of space and a lot of work by creating that all in one formula. Okay. So let's do a couple more to do something. So what if I wanted to know how many reps made quota? All right, so I'm going to say here, how many reps made quota? So I'm going to say equal sum And I could, okay, whoops, something it doesn't like here. Let's see, what did I do? Oh, I probably included the heading. That's what I did. Now I've erased the sales. Just want to erase that. Okay. So I could say equal sales greater than quota, and I'm going to put that in parentheses, which we usually do with any expression in a formula. And in order to get this to work, we multiply it by 1. And then we're going to put the whole expression in parentheses. So I need another open to that close. And then we could do Control-Shift-Enter. And something is amiss. Let's see what I did here. Oh, I didn't say equal sum. I just said equal without the sum. Equal sum of sales greater than or equal to would give us the same answer actually, but greater than or equal to quota times 1, and Control-Shift-Enter, and there we go, 3. So are there 3 that met their quota? Well, this one didn't. This one met the quota. This guy met the quota. This gal met the quota. And this fellow, no, this fellow met the quota. So it is 3. So that's a little example of how you can use this, especially if you've given range names to these items, and I made that easy. And how did I give the range names to these items? I simply selected all of the data, including the headings, and then I went to formulas, and I said create from selection. And they're already created, so I don't know what they're, yeah, and it automatically knows that you want the top row to be the name for the data underneath, because the top row has the text in it. And that's how you can easily create those range names. And it just dropped down in the name box, and you'll see the range names, and you can get to any of them that you want. It's another good feature is just to use that as a navigation tool and as a reminder. Now, what might be some of the disadvantages of using these type of formulas, an array formula? You have to remember to select the range before you start your formula if you want a multi-cell array formula, which, as you can see, I forgot to do it once, so it's easy to forget. And if you did need to change the formula, you'd have to select the entire array, modify the formula in however you wanted, and then use the Control-Shift-Enter to enter the corrected formula. So you can move or delete an entire array formula. Like I could delete this whole formula, but you can't delete one part of it, that it won't let you do that. And the other disadvantage that I can see, of course, is that it's easy to forget to do the Control-Shift-Enter or forget what the key combination is. If you think of it as a CSE file, you won't forget. And also, if other people are working on your files, trying to understand them, editing them, whatever, they've got to understand what you've done and what an array formula is. Otherwise, they're going to be confused, or they're going to try and change things, and fortunately won't be able to change a portion of it. So it's a protection, but it also might be frustrating for your coworkers if they don't understand what you're doing. So either make sure that the other people who are using the spreadsheet understand that, or don't use those type of formulas. There is a report also that large array formulas can slow down calculations a little bit, and that, of course, depends on your processor speed and how much memory you have and so forth. So that is my little spiel about array formulas.
So Ronnie, if someone wants training,
yes,
how do they get in touch with you?
Sure, you can contact me at Ronnie@computertrainingsolutions.biz, B-I-Z, and I spell it ROMNY. Or you can give me a call at 203-329-2421.
So this is going to go up on our YouTube channel, US Computer Connection YouTube channel, and we'll also send it out to those who attended. And look out for our next training.
Okay. Yep, always trying to do something interesting. If you have something you want to suggest in a Microsoft Office program that we should do a webinar on, send Gary an email.
Gary, Garry, at uscomputer.com.